What's up, guys? It's Chris Hastings at Mush_McGee with Bet Karma Live here Thursday night, 2-minute warning. Back with you. I have Jason Bales with me this week. We're both pumped. If you have a minute, though, go to betkarma.com and put your email address in. We're actually going to be launching in the next couple of weeks for that. You can also get stuff at dfskarma.com as well for any daily fantasy sports information. So good to have you following along here, and we're going to get into this Thursday night game and then start talking a little bit about the lines for this weekend. How you feeling tonight, Jay?
Oh, I'm good. I just got in from it took me about 8 hours to get from Philadelphia to Williamsburg, Virginia today. So tough drive, but I'm glad to be watching some Jaguars Titans football and doing this thing.
And you had the Jaguars tonight. Out of all the other guys, you were the only one that stepped up, lone wolfed it, and so far so good for you. How you feeling for the second half?
Yeah, I've been calling people fish all day long, so I'm glad that the sex machine came through. He actually looks really good. That touchdown to DJ Chark was great. I've only seen a couple plays. I saw he had Leonard Fournette wide open underneath. He threw a deep ball instead. I mean, I've been joking about Minshew actually being like a great quarterback, but for real, last week he didn't do great. Week 1, he looked good after Nick Foles' injury. This week he looks good, and I think he just oozes confidence. And I think this Jaguars team has enough talent to support him. Second half, I don't think that the Titans can cover this spread, honestly, just because Marcus Mariota is good. I think he's a good quarterback, and I'm not one who wants to see Tannehill. But the Titans have given him no consistency. Over the last 4 years, he's had like 4 different play callers, and it's just almost impossible to be a good quarterback without any sort of consistency. And obviously, you can see their offense is struggling. It's sort of raining in the game, and Derrick Henry doesn't look great. Outside of them scoring, even if they score 2 touchdowns, I think the Jaguars are going to score at least 1. The under was very low, and I don't think that they're going to be able to score 21 or 17 points to cover here in the second half.
Yeah, I think the line was low. It was the rain forecasted for rain. It's pouring out there. I'm on the other side of you with Mariota. I think he's an okay QB. It doesn't help that he's gotten four different coordinators, but at times he just doesn't look comfortable throwing the ball. I think the only way that the Titans actually come back here at this point is if he starts running the ball, faking handoffs, and him running, and if they give him the space, he can still, run probably sub 4.6 40 and blow him up. But I don't think he wants to do that. And that punt muff early in the game really took the energy out of the Titans. 2 quick scores after that.
I only saw the game starting from like right after that point. I missed the punt.
It was horrible. The ball hit the ground, rolled about 17 times, and the guy decided he was going to try to pick it up, and then he fumbled it, then had another chance to pick it up, and then got blasted. Ended up on the 4. It was a play action pass to, I think it was the tight end or whatever, just an easy touchdown, and that kind of took the sails out of the Titans. They're very good defensively, and they stay in games because of the defense. So if you give them 4 yards to work with, I mean, it's not hard to score usually in the NFL. Looking forward to this second half. I don't know if the line we're about to finish up. I think now we got about a minute 23, so we could jump into a couple of spreads going in next week. Some interesting spreads. I actually been looking at this Carolina-Arizona game, and for the life of me, I can't see why Carolina is getting points. Cam Newton, obviously, there's something wrong with him, and now they have a QB that could probably make a 10-yard pass. So I think Carolina is going to be jacked up with a new QB that they actually could get. Receivers are going to be getting open. Their defense is pretty solid. They've been holding teams. They were in the game against the Rams. Last week they just Thursday night against Tampa. I mean, Cam just was throwing balls into the ground like nobody could even attempt to catch them. They were so terrible. So I'm looking at that and taking Carolina potentially. Got any thoughts on that game?
I actually agree on Carolina. Currently, I know it opened as a negative 2.5 in favor of Carolina, and then the line totally shifted negative 2.5 in favor of Arizona.
Yeah.
But if you look at the public betting trends, you got 66% of bettors on Arizona, 34% on Carolina, but 48% of money on Carolina, 52% on Arizona, which leads me to believe that, the more sharp bettors are betting on Carolina. And yeah, I agree. Cam Newton is hurt. There's no, I mean, he's not that bad of a quarterback. He doesn't throw balls into ground. He needs to take some time off, let them regroup and do what they do with their backup quarterback. But Christian McCaffrey by himself, Arizona's rush defense is terrible. Christian McCaffrey is one of the best running backs in the league. Whether he's catching balls out of the backfield or running a stretch or even in the I formation, I think that Carolina probably takes this game.
Yeah, it was tough for him
to get 2.5 points is crazy. So.
And at some places it's 3. So I know today earlier when was it Westgate opened their lines up, it was 3 points. So, last week they were just keying off on Christian, knowing that Cam couldn't throw the ball, and he ended up with about 37 yards and couldn't even, the week before that, or 4 days before that, he looked like the best back in the league. And then last week they just basically just loaded up, 8 in the box and shoved the offensive line back and just tackled him all day. The other games I was looking at, the New Orleans game. Have you had a chance to look at that? Now, New Orleans stayed out in the West Coast and went north to Seattle. Now, and Seattle went from Seattle to Pittsburgh and then back.
Right.
Obviously, you got Teddy Bridgewater in there, rash of QB injuries last week, which is crazy. But Drew Brees, who's pretty reliable, obviously had the shoulder injury early, but hasn't really missed significant time in the last. I think 5-6 years.
I think I saw a statistic. He's missed 1 game since entering the NFL or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, he missed that one season after, what was it, like the Chargers? He got hurt his shoulder maybe the last game, and then he was in the offseason, jumped on New Orleans, and he's been their starter since. So you got Bridgewater. We'll find out if he's any good, if he's been paying attention. You also have the guy Hill that's been playing a lot of receiver. So they've been hanging out. Sometimes that works out. Like San Francisco did the same thing. They went from Tampa to Youngstown, hung out, practiced at Youngstown, and then went over to Cincinnati and beat the heck out of them this weekend. So I'm looking at potentially taking New Orleans and the points of +4 up there. Seattle seems to like to keep it close in a lot of these games. So what do you think?
Yeah, one thing worth noting is that New Orleans has only received 27% of the public money. And that was when they were +4.5. They actually moved to +4 at 27% of the money because they're getting 27% of the bet. They're getting 48% of the money compared to Seattle at 73% of the bet, 52% of the money. And I know you know this because we talked about it earlier in our Discord channel.
Yeah.
But, John Ewig tweeted, and everyone should be following him. If you're not following John Ewig, his Twitter name is exactly that. It's JOHNEWING. So he tweeted out that to start the season with back-to-back road games have been bad bets in week 3 home openers, 11, 27, and 2, 29% since 2003. So one of those teams, obviously, actually, that's not. Am I wrong here?
Yeah, Seattle played at home first game, but you have on that take, you have the Bills is a team in that scenario, San Fran is a team in that scenario, Kansas City at home against Baltimore is on that scenario, and then the Indianapolis Colts. So 4 teams have played back to back and then are coming home for the season opener. So basically, one of those teams, according, if you follow the stats, one of those teams will win, and the other 3 are not going to cover the spread.
Yeah, I was thinking just because Seattle's been on the East Coast, and New Orleans have been on the West Coast. But yeah, I think that definitely factors into the decision here, and I'm also on New Orleans +4 at this point.
Yeah, they travel to Pitt. They're coming home. I know my boys in Baltimore, and then Ricky are betting that the Ravens can at least be within 6. I'm sure they all think they're going to win. I haven't gotten too far into that, but I definitely have looked at that stat thinking, well, 1 out of 3 teams is going to win. So who's gonna be able to cover these spreads? Now, in my preseason picks, I had the Bills at 3-1 after 4 games, and I think I think they win this game. I'm just not sure if they can cover the 6. I'm still like kind of working that out. Usually I finish those picks by I think like 2 tomorrow for the slate. But I did like the Bills early. I don't know how many people were on them, but I had them the first 2 weeks. I think Josh Allen's going to be, he's playing pretty well. He's using his legs. He's not making dumb throws, and the defense has been playing pretty well. So they get Cincy, who got demolished last week. Cincy, I think, gave everything he had the first week in Seattle, and then just got destroyed last week by San Francisco. So I think the Bills will be ready, and I don't think 6 is out of the question for them. It's not a huge amount of public money on Buffalo right now. It's at 59%. It has moved the line to 6, so that means there's actually some. It looks like 50% of the money is on Buffalo and 50% on Cincinnati. So, but the line moved up. So I think they're trying to get people to take Cincinnati a little bit here. The Vegas is trying to get some money back on the other side of this thing. But I think Buffalo's a pretty solid team, so I expect them to win and most likely cover. I got a little bit more work to do on that one going forward.
Yeah, I think Buffalo Cincy is predicted via Vegas at almost exactly where that 50% mark should be. I think it's a coin flip at -6.
Yeah.
I do think the Bills win this game, but whether they do it by 6 or more points is definitely questionable.
Yeah, that's the hard part. And then obviously, I think Detroit getting 6 in Philly. Philly's pretty banged up after last week in Atlanta. I think is a good time to get on Detroit and take the points, as many points as you can get there. Started at 7.5 and is down to 6.
Yeah, I don't know what is up with Detroit, but week 1 I bet them against the Cardinals. I know it didn't happen, but they looked better than the Cardinals. I think that was actually one of our consensus bets. All of our experts picked Detroit week 1. It failed. It went to overtime, and they actually ended up tying. But then I was back on them against the Chargers last week, and that bet hit. And now this week, I don't want to be boring. So on the Battle for the Bales pod, which will be out tomorrow, I'm not going to pick Detroit. Don't worry. But I am all over Detroit at +6 against Philly. I don't think the Philly team is this good. Deshaun's doubtful. He's likely not going to play. Jeffrey, I think, is out at this point, right? Like officially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, most of their offensive weapons are gone. I think Darren Sproles plays a bit more in the slot than he's used to. And I do like Aguilar and Arcega-Whiteside. Definitely has upside. But this Detroit defense is so much better than everyone's giving them credit for early in the season. I said on Twitter the other day that Detroit, even in that tough division, is a 10-6 football team. So we'll see if that comes true by the end of the season.
Yeah, well, they'll be probably 9-7-1 because of that tie. I mean, the coaches really lost that game for them against Arizona. They kind of laid off a little bit, started going to prevent, giving that guy some energy, and then some terrible timeouts cost Detroit the game. And that was the offensive coordinator called one when they had the first down, would have ended it. That game killed me. I had a nice little parlay running straight, on 4 teams, and I had Detroit, and I'm looking at the score thing, and I had it, and I jinxed myself and ended up losing that game when they tied. And then I'm going, why didn't I just money line Detroit? But
after last week, you should be a millionaire, right?
Oh yeah, I don't know about millionaire. If you only put 100 down, you lose some. But had a good week, obviously 12-4. Trying to repeat it this week. It's hard to obviously go 12-4 each week, but especially with a couple of 20-point lines. I mean, how do you feel? Like, I think the last time there was like 2 20-point lines was like 83 or something like that.
This is the perfect segue because I want to talk about the Patriots-Jets game. It's -22 in favor of New England right now. It opened at 16. And back to Johnny Ewig, I'm telling you, this guy's one of the better ones to follow on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely.
He recently tweeted that the Patriots are 22-point favorites versus the Jets, and Tom Brady against the spread as a favorite of 20 or more points, which, first of all, it's ridiculous that he's been a favorite of 20 points or more multiple times, but he's 0-4. I know that this isn't like a big sample size, but he has failed to cover by 11.5 points per game. I mean, I'm all over the Jets. I don't think that the Jets are good. But do I think that New England is going to come out and win 43-0 again like they did against the Dolphins? No, I don't. I mean, they are that good, but this is football. And the Jets, I mean, they have playmakers. They have Robbie Anderson. They have Le'Veon Bell. They can run out the clock, and I think they cover the 22-point spread.
Yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this yet. I know that Bill Belichick loves embarrassing teams. So when he has the chance, he likes to run it up. The Jets looked horrendous last week against the Browns, who beat them by 20. So thinking that the New England can't beat them by 20, it just kind of varies on how healthy they are. I think Tom Brady's listed it with like a calf injury. So maybe they'll pull him out. I don't know if they start running it up and the Jets will, get a backdoor cover. So I haven't decided yet where I'm going. I got some things to weed through tomorrow, but it's just crazy that that's a 20-point line, and then Dallas has a 20-point line against Miami. I mean, it's deserved. Miami has been horrendous, to say the least. You were hoping that they'd bring a little bit more effort, and I think the first half they gave what they had to New England, and then just, too many turnovers, pick six. Fitzmagic isn't magic at all this year.
No, he is not.
Rosen is not, I mean, you're in a tough spot. You're second-year QB. You're playing with some backup offensive linemen. But, that just looks rough, man. At least those guys are making, most of them are making a couple mil a year. I wouldn't mind going and losing every game for $2 million a year. So, if
embarrass me all you want for $2 million a year.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't know. Dallas opened as negative 15.5-point favorite. So it's up almost, what is that? It is up an entire touchdown in 22.5. And they're getting 85% of the money, 76% of the bets.
It says generally if you fade the public, you win 60% of the time, I think it is. So
especially early season public fading is especially popular among the sharps, but oh man, it looks actually based on the money that the sharps are even on Dallas, even with the public at 24% on the Dolphins.
Everybody's been seeing how terrible the Dolphins are. What do you think about the Rams coming after a tough game against New Orleans, flying across to Cleveland, opened at -1.5, 85% of the public money is on LA, and it's now moved to -3. Any thoughts on the Browns potentially covering that spread?
I was back and forth between the Browns and one other play that I'm not going to talk about because I'm going to talk about it tomorrow on the podcast with Justin. But I was back and forth between the Browns and this other team, a secret other team, that for my one play of the week, going to head-to-head against Justin. And I ultimately decided against the Browns, but not because I don't like them. I do like the Browns +3. They're getting a lot of contrarian money. A lot of movement towards the Browns now that it is +3. It opened at 1.5. There's almost no money on the Browns, which doesn't make sense to me because I don't think that the Los Angeles Rams are that good of a team. I understand that they're a playoff team, definitely. But the Cleveland Browns are being underestimated as a team because of a poor performance week 1 against the Titans, who are currently getting destroyed by the Jaguars, but who have a great defensive line. And the Browns' best offensive tackle got ejected from the game in like the first quarter. That's not going to happen again. And I don't know. LA is good, but their running back situation is sketchy. Obviously, Kupp is great. They have dynamic receivers. They have a good offense, but so does Cleveland. And I think Cleveland keeps this game close. Whether or not they cover the spread or not is definitely up in the air. But I think early, right now, I'm going Cleveland +3.
All right, and then you got. Hopefully this isn't jumping in. Just tell me to shut up if I start talking about Chicago and the Washington on Monday night. So you're getting
this is
Chicago. All right, I'll stay. I'll stay off of that game for now. Second half line here for the Tennessee and Jaguars. Jags +3.5. So is Tennessee going to score a touchdown and not give up one? Is essentially the question. The over-under live number is 31.5. The second half is 17. So, got any thoughts? The 17, they scored 14, and that was a gift. They got 14.7 was a gift off of a punt muff. The rain is still coming down. It's pretty windy. You got to probably like the under for the second half. Any thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really like betting half. Definitely in a game that there. I mean, there's currently rain. These two offenses are so unpredictable because Derrick Henry is so dynamic. He can score a touchdown from anywhere on the field, but also the Titans' offense is terrible. I think this game ends up. I'm going to call 21-10 Jaguars win. So give me 10 points on the Titans in the second half and 7 points on the Jaguars.
So that would be exactly 17. So I'm not touching it. I've seen enough to know that both these teams are not that great. So I don't want to be stuck in a bet. I'm trying to find like a prop bet for the second half for a player. Haven't got there yet. I'm looking at that Baltimore Kansas City game. Can Kansas City, after playing 2 road games, come home and play a tough Baltimore team that's better than I thought they were going to be? I picked them to finish, either last or second to last in that conference. So far, they've proved me wrong, and much to my buddies, I grew up in Baltimore, and all my friends cheer for the Ravens, and I don't, and I hate them. But so it pains me whenever they win. So Kansas City given 6. Obviously, their offense is good. Defense, okay. Can they stop Lamar Jackson and the offense that the Ravens are producing right now?
I got to give credit where credit's due. Justin was all over Lamar Jackson at the beginning of the season. And I mean, I was like, Lamar Jackson's pretty good, but you're ranking him like top 7 quarterback in the league. That's crazy. I was wrong. He was right. I think even though it's only been 2 weeks, I think that Lamar Jackson's the real deal. Obviously, Mahomes also the real deal.
That guy's a freak.
Andy Reid is one of the most underrated coaches in the entire NFL. And I'm saying this, I'm from Philly, and constantly Philly fans are like, what did Andy Reid do for us? I'm like, Andy Reid took you to the playoffs every single year for his entire career. And then he went to Kansas City, and he got close to winning a Super Bowl on a team that was like, 3-13 when he took over?
Absolutely.
LaShawn McCoy, is he going to play? I think he's currently doubtful. I don't think it really matters that much for the line. I'm just interested.
Yeah, I think he was listed as doubtful. Not sure here. They got him as questionable now. Yeah, with an ankle injury.
Ewig obviously posted. It's just smart to fade the public in the beginning of the season. And currently, Kansas City has 59% of the bets, 38% of the money. It shows the sharps are on Baltimore. Baltimore +6, definitely not impossible to cover. I don't know how this game is going to end up. I think it's a coin flip currently at the 6th line. I just hope that they put it on Sunday Night Football instead of at 1 o'clock.
I don't think they're flexing plays yet. Andy Reid, yeah, great season coach, regular season. I mean, if you look at his record, between the Eagles and Kansas City, he's well above the 500 mark for these teams, and he usually comes out and does well in the first couple weeks of the season, especially after buys. I think he's wins 90% of the time after a week off. The playoffs, I think he just kind of mismanages a little time. I've seen the timeouts he misuses, and it's cost him a couple of games in Philly. And I think the Eagles fans are just pretty tough on him. One of my college buddies, can't stand him either, and he's from lower Philly or Delaware. He's in Wilmington, and all those guys think they're Eagles fans.
I'm from the area, so I feel like I'm allowed to say this. Eagles fans need to chill. They're so ignorant, and it just irritates me. I mean, not every Eagles fan, obviously.
Yeah.
So if you're an Eagles fan, maybe not you, but a lot of the Eagles fans that I've seen at games, obviously I've been to the Eagles stadiums quite a few times, or the stadium quite a few times. I don't know. Just relax. You can't win every game. So
I don't think it's just the Eagles fans. I used to say that about the Ravens fans, because I would hear about it, and they're going to if they win one game, they're going to the Super Bowl. And that's what I hear from my friends, that Lamar Jackson's taking to the Super Bowl. And that used to happen when they had they'd go 7-9 up until they were out of the playoffs. I'd hear how great they were. So I think a lot of fans in general get overworked. But I'd take Andy Reid as a coach. I grew up as a Giants fan, and what's happening to the Giants right now is brutal. We'll see what Daniel Jones does.
Now? You got to be excited this week. I mean, yeah, Eli is, your 2-time Super Bowl, whatever, but it's time for the new kid. I mean, you got to be excited for that, right?
I am excited to see it. I'm actually going to take the Giants plus the 6.5 this week. I think that Daniel Jones has some ability to move out of the pocket is what Eli lacks. And you see some of the better quarterbacks now. It's just they can extend the play a little bit longer to find a receiver. These corners are very good. They cover very well for those first 2-3 seconds. So if you can extend the play, like Mahomes slides out to his right, he's able to get people. I mean, Aaron Rodgers has been doing it for years, moving around in the pocket, finding enough time to get a receiver open. Same thing they're doing with Lamar Jackson. He's able to move on his feet. You see Drew Brees is able to move in the pocket. And I think Eli's just lacking that athleticism to make that extra second and a half before he gets hit. So, I think that you have an upgrade at Daniel Jones. Maybe he won't have the career that Eli has, and maybe he'll be better because of that athleticism. He was a good quarterback. 2 years he was fantastic on those runs. Otherwise, he's probably a little above average as a QB. There's been a huge debate whether he's going to the Hall of Fame or not. I don't know what to think of it. I know watching him for all the years it was frustrating to know you have like a big-time QB supposedly, and you're not going to the playoffs. So, I'm excited to see Daniel Jones and pumped to see what he brings to the table. So I'm going to be on New York Giants this weekend, plus a 6.5 at Tampa. I think that's a little bit of a stretch. Tampa is an okay team, trying to find their way with a QB that's similar to, Marcus Mariota, where he's on his last year of his rookie deal and trying to play for a contract. And so far, he just hasn't looked great.
Yeah, Boss Man says we got to wrap it up. So I just want to mention a couple things about Tampa Bay. One, if you can, buy Mike Evans in season-long leagues. Mike Evans is absolutely unbelievable. Yes, Chris Godwin is going to get his, and I own Chris Godwin in quite a few leagues, but Mike Evans is better. Mike Evans
Absolutely.
is targets, and I don't care how bad he starts even the first 6 weeks. I don't care. Buy Mike Evans. Also, OJ Howard, sort of weird that he's not getting any targets, but he should be getting targets soon. The coach recently just said that he's going to get his. I think Jameis Winston's better than he's playing right now, though I do also agree that the Giants are going to cover the 6.5. Usually when you start a new quarterback, it sparks something in the team. I felt like last week Eli sort of gave up on the game, which was weird because Eli has always been a team player and always been like somebody that I've respected in the league, despite thinking that he's not that great of a quarterback. And when asked about if he had any advice for Jones starting at quarterback, he said, throw the ball to the team with the same color jersey. It's not that hard. And I felt like it was a diss at Jones. Yeah, I understand that Eli is frustrated. He thinks he's a Hall of Fame quarterback who got benched midseason for this new guy. But, like, if he doesn't realize that his arm's shot at this point, he can't throw the ball 30, 40 yards down the field anymore. He can only throw it 10. I do think that Eli is a good quarterback. I think he should not go to the Hall of Fame. I think he will go to the Hall of Fame because he won 2 Super Bowls and because his brother is Peyton and his dad is Archie.
Makes sense to me. All right, boys and girls, whoever's watching, we appreciate it. Well, I know Bales will be on tomorrow. I think Bales and I will be on for college football. And thank you for watching. BetKarma.com. Register so you get any information coming up, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter. Have a great night.